Okay, hello. I'm going to demonstrate, like I said earlier, where we were able to do a Docker Compose on the Mac. I'm going to demonstrate again that with those pretty much the same exact set of source files that I got running on Windows or configuration files, I'm going to demonstrate that we can actually start up our Kubernetes cluster on the Mac. So one of the first things we'll need to do here on the Mac is make sure that we've got our Docker for desktop. You may want to download, not may, you definitely want to download that instead of running Minikube, which I also have on my Mac here. But when you download Docker for desktop, you can actually go and make sure that the Kubernetes cluster is running. You'll want to make sure when you download it that you go to Preferences and then go to your Kubernetes tab and click on Enable Kubernetes. As you can see in my case, I've got Kubernetes running right here. It'll run within the context of Docker for desktop, and it's great for development purposes. So it gives you a nice one-node cluster. And again, great for development. You could say kubectl, get nodes. You can see get pods, so it's running. All right, and what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go ahead and start up the proxy. So you'll want to make sure that you actually install this Kubernetes deployment, which is for your dashboard, and which I already have. And then to start up your proxy server, I'm going to just say kubectl proxy. Make sure you get that starting to serve on 127.0.1. Once that's running, you can take this URL, which I've included inside of this notes file, start up your browser, paste this in. Try this again. Having a heck of a problem with copy and paste here. There we go. As you can see, we've got nothing running. Well, actually, I got an old leftover claim from my RabbitMQ thing from a past cluster thing, but I've got no pods running. So one of the first things that we're going to want to do, like I said, I'm in this directory, so this should be where you've got your services and web. You can put this anywhere you want, this compose. It doesn't have to be called compose. I just happen to call it compose in my case because that's the output of Docker compose plus some of the changes that I made here. I've got cleanup running and I've got startup running, and of course I got my startup app.kubernetes file, which I'm going to leave in there for you. I'm also going to keep these builds in here for you. You may or may not choose to run some of these. I just kind of use these when I was making changes for debugging or whatever, and I would build my image, tag them, and push them up to my repo. Anyways, those aren't necessary, to be honest with you, but feel free to use them or change them any way, shape, and form. These are what you're going to be interested in under the compose. So let's just go to our startup because we know we've got nothing running right now. And I am going to first apply these. So it's the MS SQL Server, RabbitMQ, and then our basket data. And I'll go to terminal, run selected text. So one by one, it's going to run these. Okay. And what I want to do here is tail-f my log for SQL Server. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say kubectl logs, take that and do a -f. And as you can see, we've got, this is kind of like our tail-f output right here. So that's looking good. Now I'm going to go ahead and run my cart service and deployment. Run active text. As you can see, it's starting those two up there. If we go inside of our dashboard, under pods, you can see we've got our 4 pods running up here, which is really good. We could take a look at, do a tail-f on our cart service if you want. kubectl get pods. There's our cart. And we could say kubectl logs part-f. That's looking good too. Now we're ready for our next on the list, which is our token server, which is pretty important. So actually, I'm just going to highlight that, run selected text. So it's going to start those two up. Refresh my dashboard. There's our token server. You can take a look at your deployments. You can take a look at your services right here. Now I'm exposing that endpoint right here for the token server. Okay. So let's go ahead and tail that. Make sure that that looks good. Get pods, kubectl logs. We want to do our token server. -f. Let's see what we've got going on here. Not sure what that was, but it looks like it managed to recover from that. What do we got going on here? Token service DB. I probably tried to start that up while this was actually initializing itself, so it just went ahead and restarted it. Okay, so this looks like it's actually working right here. Okay. Okay. So it's pushing that inside of here. And as you can see, it's starting up the token service database. It looks like it's working right there. Okay. Next one is order service, since I know that that's being protected, and then our catalog service. Let's just go ahead and start these up. Technically, we could probably start them up over and over again because, or all at once, because Kubernetes is going to continue to retry these, but I just kind of want to sequentially go through these. Take a look at the greens here. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our catalog starting up, and we have our orders. And if we take a look, at our catalog. So I want to say kubectl logs -f on that. There we go. So we're using our con server right here. Very good. Looks like the only thing we got left to start up right now, we've got our catalog services. We just got a regular application to start up. So let's go back in here. Start this up. Now, you could either do run this line here to expose your endpoint, which is like localhost port 80 with a type load balancer, or you can just do it this way right here by using the WebMVC service one. Pretty much does the same thing because I've got a type load balancer right up here. And by the way, this whole thing is used to go to the default namespace. If you want a different namespace, you can change your configuration file to specify it. But if you look in your namespaces, under default, you can see where it's got, like pretty much you can see basket data and some of the other things that it's going in there, which is our default namespace. So anyways, make sure. Now we can go ahead and start up our application. Run selected text. There we go. And if I take a look at our pods, you can see we've got our application going here. You can check your you can see what it's doing right here with your events. So it's pulling the image right there. So it's pulling all this stuff from Docker Hub. Ideally with Kubernetes, you want to have your images stored in a container registry, because typically these clusters here, like, in a real production environment or whatever, really won't have any source code on it. Ideally, in a real production environment, these servers are going to be, fairly high-powered servers to handle all the scaling and stuff like that. And it's not going to have any source. It's just basically going to pull everything from an image registry, which is what we've got these specified to do right here with our image names, like inside of the, let's see what we've got going on here. That's our service. So we actually want to look at a deployment file. If you're taking a look at our image right here, there we go. It's pulling from my Docker Hub. One of the things I didn't mention is in order to get this to work, you want to use the Docker login and enter your credentials. So in my Mac, it's through my keychain. It's basically knowing what you're currently logged in as. Same with Windows. So you want to make sure that you've got your Docker login command run before you do all of this here. So having done this right now, we've got our WebMVC thing running here. So I am going to run our application. Okay, that's what we've got going on here. Typed in a different URL. I want to actually type in 1.4. So I type that in. It takes me to the login page. Going to go ahead and log in. So we're going to the token server right now, and now it's logging in and redirecting back here. Very well. So we're logged in. The cart service is working because, the catalog service is working. Otherwise, we wouldn't see these. So we could potentially filter these down to whatever we want. As you can see, we got that going on here. I'll just add item here to the cart, or add another one to the cart. So we've got 2. So our cart service is working, as well as our catalog. I'm going to update the quantities here. Then I'm going to do a checkout to test out our order service. I'm just typing in anything up here just for test. And like I said, I went through the source code and short-circuited this, so it's not required. I'm just going to go ahead and pay and place the order. And as you can see right here, it completed the order. I can go into my order history right here. I can take a look at that and see the order details. Another thing I wanted to actually show is scaling. So again, in another video, I kind of demonstrated that. It was kind of cool. During peak times or peak years, we may actually peak times or peak months, we may actually want to scale this. So you can go to your deployments. And if you take a look at your deployments here, you can see it tells you how many pods you've got running. So let's just say our catalog service is being hit hard during Thanksgiving or one of the holidays, and we want more. So you can scale. You can either type in your number of pods there, or realistically, we could take a look at our deployment YAML, and we could actually scale this up to be 2, or we could say 3, and then we just say update. And by the way, with replica sets or replication controllers and stuff like that, or even stateful sets, you can specify right up front how many instances you want instead of just the default 1 that I've got here. So the sky's the limit right here. This is set up out of the box just to have 1 of each, but you may want to actually start it up out of the box with 3, and that's fine. So you can actually use the replicas tag or whatever if you want. So as you can see, we've got 3 catalogs, and let's just say for the order, we want 2. The nice thing about this is after you start it up, you can runtime scale at runtime. So that's kind of what you get from doing this from the dashboard. So again, the sky's the limit here. I have not exposed the order and catalog endpoints for your Swagger stuff right here. That might be an optional thing, time permitting. I might take a look into that, or or it's something another developer, if they're trying to learn or whatever, could look into it. But basically that involves with going into the services and making sure your endpoints for the catalog is exposed and your order is exposed. Whichever you want your Swagger endpoint to be hit, you just want to make sure that you have an external endpoint, so you can do that through a type equals load balancer. So if you take a look at like the web MVC or the token server, um, as you can see, we actually have a type equals like, actually that's a different one. I want to actually take a look at the token server. Let's take a look at the YAML. Let's see. So we got type equals load balancer. So that's pretty much all you really need to do. Specify that, and then your Swagger endpoint should be available, through that IP address. I think this is pretty much all I really wanted to demonstrate. But I've basically been able to show that the same set of files in this compose directory work just fine with Windows and the Macintosh. And I think the one last thing, what I want to do is actually shut everything down. So I've got all these pods running right here. Let's see what we've got here. As a matter of fact, if I take a look at these pods, you can see we've got 3 catalogs running and we've got 2 orders, but that's because I scaled them. So now you could say kubectl, you could say get deployments. And as you can see, if you run the kubectl get deployments, you can see that we have 2 pods running in there, and we've got 3 catalog services running in there as well. So what I'm going to want to do actually is shut everything down right now because I've finished my demo. Let's just go ahead and run all of these. Run active text. So there we go. Now, if we refresh this, these should pretty much all be gone except for this Kubernetes one. And our Kubernetes one remains. Our deployments are gone, our pods are gone, and our services are gone because I did a shutdown on this. So thank you for watching. I hope that you can make use of these things here, and I hope this helps and it demonstrates what a wonderful course that this is, because it's scalable through Docker Compose, as well as through Kubernetes, and it works both on Windows and Macintosh. So thanks again, and have a great one. Bye-bye.